Hey, how's it going? I just adjusted this. Why did you get louder? I'm not actually 100% convinced that you could hear that, but just in case. Okay, so, hi, how's it going? Or, oh my goodness, I did it differently. Hey, how's it going? Or hi, doesn't matter. Anyway, please look at my signs before I get rolling here. Okay, I'm just gonna. Sorry about that. I was still plugged in. I decided I did not want to be plugged in. Okay, so I have been sitting on this reading for a couple of days. It's not really a reading, although I think I will just. We'll see how it goes. I have some cards here in my hand. But I had some stuff that I was thinking about that I wanted to talk about here that I really wanted to have some deep thoughts about, I guess. Like, think before I speak. Intensively for a change. Okay, so there we go. So, I watched a series of videos. Well, I'm always watching some videos, but I watched some and they were saying various things to me that led me to think other things, and come to conclusions and things, but it's generally the same thing that I'm always kind of talking about. Hold on. Yeah, it's relationships, between all of us. Come on. I don't have fingernails, so it's hard to grab stuff. Uh-oh. My shirt went all over the place. Well, anyway. So, yeah, relationships is kind of what I always am thinking about, and just sort of how we're all getting along, and we're wanting to further that, like, getting along part. Although I don't know how much good I personally am doing, but I really would like to see us get along better. So, here's one thing that I saw this one video, and it was kind of about how we're all feeling, because there's like geomagnetic storms, there's solar activity, there's astrological stuff going on, and I guess we don't know when stuff is affecting us if we're not like taking that kind of stuff into consideration. And then not everyone is really affected by it. Like, personally, I didn't used to be, but or maybe I was and didn't know that I was acting crazy. I'm just like, I have like a little different self-awareness, a different type than I used to, I think. I hope. Enhanced, I hope. So, I am constantly trying to, like, do something about my tendency to anger, like, flare. Just like, woo, all of a sudden something gets said, or unbeknownst to another person, strikes are piling up. And by that I mean strikes like baseball, like 3 strikes and you're out, or the legal, how do you even call that? Citation, like that started in California, where you get 3 strikes, and if you blow it 3 times, you get to spend the rest of your life in prison or something like that. And then I think other states adopted it. So, generally, once the strikes start happening with me, you're not going to get past 2. Like, if you get 2, I'm like, why wait for a 3rd one to piss me off further? And I'm just like, I'm done. That's not something I really tell people, but that's what happens. And so I've been trying to work on it, because like I said, it flares up, and it's kind of like I don't have control over it, and I don't want that to be the case. And then, I spent all this time like purging and digging up every embarrassing or hurtful thing that I can think of and meditating on it and even praying, like, can help me get this out, like, whatever it is. And then it still happens. Like, I think, okay, this time I got to the bottom of it and I know what it is, so the next time it happens, it's not going to happen. Nope. That is not the way it's worked out. But I did discover that there's many layers to it. But that's not the whole story. Because of all that other sort of atmospheric activity, and then also whatever else is going on in your life is going to play into those factors as well. Like, if you're well adjusted, you can get through the periods with less feelings, with less uncomfortable feelings. So that is good. Like, that seems optimal for me. Sounds good to me. But mainly, like, I don't want to, like, have one of my little episodes all over someone else, It's like, especially since I don't tell people about the two strikes thing, I might suddenly be really angry. Although it's not, I don't have that over nothing. Like, you really have to, like, offend me and do me wrong for me to get to that point. Like, I'll take a lot of crap before I get there. But that doesn't mean the temper isn't like, woo, I'm ready to get all mad. It's like right there. So anyway, now you know that. And I watched this video and it's talking about what I've been talking about, but the thing that struck me, who made me kind of happy, was, hey, dork, it's not just happening to you. Like, you're not the only one being affected in ways that are sort of exacerbating, I feel like, an already trigger-happy little problem that I have. But it's not always a problem because, for one thing, it often happens, my anger, in isolation. Like, because I'm on one side of a screen and somebody's somewhere else on the other side of theirs. They're not seeing my stages of emotion. And the things that I get mad at, like, okay, here's one that just happened. And it's not even that I got mad at it, but it's just sort of like, I ain't putting up with this shit kind of thing. I'm online and I'm on Blue Sky and I'm really enjoying it. I'm having a good time just talking to people and enjoying music and sharing all kinds of stuff. And I don't like to follow back because then people can decide to message you. And I think everyone has encountered a thing where you've allowed them to message you and it's gone immediately south. So I have not been following very many people back. And also, I feel like if you want to make friends with someone in real life, you don't go to a private room somewhere with a stranger you just met and start talking about anything. Like, it's a gradual process. There's a phrase, you get to know each other. It's like a thing. That's how it works. I mean, there's obviously exceptions to every rule, but generally, you're not making these leaps with a dang stranger you just met. And online, I always say, you don't, like, just because you make eye contact with somebody that you pass on the sidewalk, that's not an automatic invitation for you to come home and find that person in your damn bed. It's like too familiar too fast. That's my problem with it. So, on Blue Sky, not really following back too many people because it's already happened a few times. I get in the message thing and the very first one on there, because you have to follow a certain number of followers right at the start. Oh, my cat, I think, is out there. He can wait a few more minutes. Anyway, you have to, like, follow some people, and then one guy immediately followed right back, and then next thing I know, this dude's messaging me, and I didn't really want a message because of what I just explained, but I was polite, and we talked for a little while, and then the next day I didn't feel like talking to him, and I didn't reach out to him immediately, and because there's people that I know on there from Twitter that have come over, so I'm already engaged with these people. I actually have a friendship that has developed with them, which is why we're talking back and forth, and I guess this guy saw that and must have thought, okay, well, that's what I could do, which nothing wrong with thinking that, but with me, there's steps that need to be followed. So the next day, I'm doing my thing. I really had completely forgotten about the guy because it's just a requisite thing you had to do. I didn't, like I said, really want to follow people back, and I wasn't that interested in him. I didn't care. It was just a formality, and I wasn't. Apparently, my interest was not as piqued as his was, because the next day, whatever, I got up in the morning and I'm on there talking and doing my thing and going to other sites and sharing, whatever, I'm doing my thing. And then all of a sudden I get a message from this dude, and he is angry. Are you ignoring me? I said, why are you not paying attention to me or something? But he definitely said, are you ignoring me? And I'm like, well, no, I'm just not even thinking about you at all. And you're all mad. And I go, I don't owe you anything, dude. I barely just met you. What is up with... See, bye. That was it. But it's that kind of thing. They want to get you alone, and then... I don't know you yet. I don't want to be alone with you. Because then they're they say they want to be friends, but then they start talking about stuff that's beyond friendship, date type things. And it's that's not what you said. Otherwise, I would not have gone here to talk to you. And that, I don't know, escapes people. They just don't get it. So, anyway, now more of my feelings on that matter, but I'm talking to this other person, and we've been talking several days and talking about music, and other people are getting in the conversation, and it's good. It's really good, because then I see someone else that I'm not even talking to that's talking about seeing people having conversations and sharing music and sharing whatever with each other just right there in the feed, and saying, and then I felt moved the first day after I talked to this other person, this second person on there, to say in the feed to him in our conversation, hey, I gotta go, but thanks for hanging out and talking. It was great fun. I'll chat with you later. And then we did successively over days, but he reached out to me. I was not reaching out to him. And he was flirting, but I'm I got my own thing going on, and I'm not interested in that person. It's not personal. I mean, it is, but it isn't. And so we're talking, and he's very jokey, and he definitely thought he was funnier than I did think he was. But he, a couple of times, literally twice, started we'd be talking, and all of a sudden he'd throw in, he was all regular conversation talking, and he's all, you better get yo ass over there. And I'm all, yo ass? I don't know. I don't know if he was white or black or not, but it was just it was out of place. And then he did it again, and I was like, oh man, that is strike two. I don't like that shit. Because what are you doing put on a black accent? That's saying blackface. I don't know, it just rubbed me the wrong way. And B, I don't talk like that, and if I did, it pissed me off probably more. It's dude, what are you doing? So I didn't like that. And I could have said to him, hey, I really didn't like that you did that, but I feel this is an adult man. Why do I have to tell this guy something as obvious as you don't make fun of people's accents? This is not, we weren't using text to voice. This was all text, so he never even heard my voice. But I was just I didn't like that. So And then I am into the spiritual stuff, which if you watch my channel, you know that. And I just posted a cry-on video, and I guess he watched it, and then he said, "Oh, put the bottle of Kool-Aid down," and that terminology is right up there with woke, and that'll get you blocked as fast as 2 strikes. And that was like 3 and 4, and I was like, oh man, I don't want to explain why to this person my issue. I just want him gone, so I blocked him. And you know, luckily online you have the ability to do that. It's kind of great in a way that you do have the ability online to say things that you probably wouldn't say in person, definitely wouldn't say so quickly after meeting a new person. But you get this cyber courage, and you get a little out of control. Like you do get a little cyber drunk. People do, and cyber inconsiderate and cyber fat-headed. It's not that different from reality that you experience on this side of the screen. Like, once these things get turned off or you put it down and walk away, that is not a thing that is happening anymore. You are literally have moved to like a different timeline and are doing something else. And it's unreal in the way that a person right there in the room, that you can see their reactions and you can see their expressions. And if you're unfortunate like me, you can smell also kind of what's going on with them. But you don't get any of that online. And so that's a lot of information both parties are not getting. And I think that people don't really take that into consideration, and that they should. So that was just my way of sort of, I guess, working through something that was bothering me, but also demonstrating like how not to piss me off, I guess. But I don't think it's unique to me, the things that I'm saying, like slightly different probably, but also similarly people are having these issues as well as me. So, you know, with the interaction. Okay, so like the next thing, I watched like this other video, and it was talking about, and this stays for me here on the subject of being angry, and it was talking about the villains in our lives. And well, there's a lot now that are just right out there that you can choose from. There's like people doing war stuff that you don't want them doing. You can, like, people are mad at that, mad at those people causing those things. This would be leaders of countries, including mine here, that I'm talking about. And just the stuff that they're doing, like the wars, and there's a lot of injustice that comes to people as a result of, like, wealth inequality. And there's a big sort of soft Cold War going on with that. Although it's not. It's like right there in the open, and it's very much like the cartoon villainy of like Donald Trump and Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, and what is the man with the eyes that wants to be the FBI guy? Kash Patel, right? Kash Patel. But anyway, oh, I don't even have to fake cross my eye. That one is crossed. Eye tumor thing. But anyway, cartoon villains, and they're mad. They're like mad at the libs. They're mad at the left, and they want to just like smash people's existences, like just yank their living wage, not living wage, what do you call it? Like, well, I'm one of those people. Like, if I don't have Social Security and Medicaid, I'm messed up. I can't like work. I mean, I could, but I have to find the thing that I can physically do for enough hours, you know, to cover my needs. And even that's like, well, anyway, people are mad at those guys. Those guys are mad at the rest of the world, but I feel like those are them problems, a lot of it. Because I think the rich people cause a lot of problems for people, and then I guess they get butthurt when they're not just loved for what they're doing. Like these guys are talking about just like putting people into poverty and uprooting them from their homes, and you can't deport like citizens of your country because you can't just dump your trash people. You can't just dump people on other countries like you're garbage. And this is not well thought out, but those villains, and then Epstein, Diddy, like all of those villains. There's a lot, you know, and the point of the video was that we should be thankful because they're doing that all for us. And the villains, I mean, to be them, they have to be like evil and they have to do terrible things, and then they have to be like the recipient of a lot of hate and fear, which for that character that they're being, this evil person, those things are often things they want. Like they want to, they don't want to be reviled, but that's what they get. Like they don't get loved for, you know, morality things and good qualities. They're villains. They're awful. And then people hate them, you know, and people have a lot to say, and there's a lot of feelings generated negative against these people. And so what this video was saying, and a lot of anger happens as a result of the reaction to whatever the villainous person has done. I'm going to go with the Diddy Epstein thing so you can just right off the top of your head go, okay, that was bad and awful, they're terrible. I want you to understand the kind of villain and villainy that I'm talking about. But also, you know, we have those soul contracts, so all of this stuff is already like in advance. We all know on a certain level. We may not consciously remember this, but we do know that this is what we're doing. Like, they're the bad guy and we're the good guy. And it really made me think, like, yeah, you can be mad at them for all of these things, and that's like on the 3D level, like, of the world that we see and live in for the most part, the most of us. Although that's changing. It has been for a while, but not to get sidetracked. It is like a heavy weight for these people to bear, to be these personalities, because like I said, we forget what we're doing here, and we take it all seriously, take it all personal, and like unload everything on these people. I mean, think about it. You don't even know the details. You just know that like things are alleged and they're terrible, and it's bad enough to adult children. That's probably not a Freudian slip. Kind of think that might be the attitude of some of those people participating in those activities. But anyway, you have these people doing all of these things, and we really hate them. We really hate them for it, especially if there's children involved, because animals apparently, allegedly, have been sucked up into these things as sacrifices and are cruelly and strangely treated. Like, bestiality, I guess, is something that is part of this whole, it's really like part of a Luciferian agenda, and look it up. But the kids, the people that find themselves entrapped in this horribleness, I feel bad for the animals, because they gotta be like, what in the hell is going on? Why I mean, I don't know. I don't even want to envision the scenario, because it's so gross and so just terrible. But there I am generating a feeling, and it's gonna go like, where's that gonna go? To the persons that did that thing. Like, I don't even know who they are, but that's where the thoughts are going, like, pew, pew, they're headed your way. Because you did that nasty shit. But they did it. It's part of the tableau. Like, they do their action, and then over here you have the reaction to the action, and then the actions. It's a cascade. And at every juncture, there is something for us all to learn from it. If we can brush aside the anger and remember that is sort of the whole root to the foundation to, like, everything we're here doing, it's about this whole other thing. Yay, it's crazy. Agree. So there's that. And then what was the other thing? Did I write this down? I did write it down. Hold on, let me find it. Oh, there's nothing else to add. Except to say that the anger thing, like, we get, like, all really mad at each other about stuff, and we are taking things very personally and getting, like, really angry, and we're, like, going native in a way with this whole role-playing stuff we're doing. And so we kind of don't want to get that into it. Like, we want to do a good job, but we don't want to be that efficient. Just saying. Because it's hard to, like, snap yourself back into reality. You know that we can, like, start telling ourselves things and get lost in a whole mind trip that is not really based on actual reality. It's like feelings can distort, like, what's actually happening, you know? Like, I mean, have you ever been, like, so mad that you're just someone's talking to you and you're like, I don't care, I'm so mad, I'm just gonna barrel on and I'm gonna say and do whatever, even if I know that I'm gonna regret it later. I'm just gonna let it ride because I'm righteously angry, but maybe you're not. Because sometimes that happens, but generally anger is not good to have a lot of or to maintain for a long time. So, you know, I mean, life is just filled with so many considerations. And I know I personally, for years, just wasn't even looking at things in a way that it would have ever occurred to me to take certain things into consideration. And that's what I call having your head up your butt. And I think we all kind of have that, because boy, did we get into this role stuff and forget that basically we're here to do these things, and it's like a helpful thing to do, because the things all have something that once actions are acted, there's a conclusion. There's consequences, you know, in those kinds of cases. But everything happens for a reason. I know it's crazy. Like, I was raised Catholic, and statements like everything happens for a reason were infuriating. And, like, you know, God knows it's gonna happen for this reason. You're just like, what? But perspectives change, and then you understand things differently. But then that also comes with, you know, maturity. Like, aging brings you, I would hope, for us, levels of maturity and wisdom, and those change your perspective. So I guess I just wanted to talk about that so that we can kind of step back a little bit from our anger that just seems to just so easily lapse into hatred. Because it's like, we don't really have to take it that seriously. Like, it's hard. It's like a Freddy Krueger dream. Like, you could definitely die in the dream if we're acting out a dream, but you have eternal life. You can reincarnate. So that's a plus, right? Um, I think I was just happy to know that I should have just known this anyway, and I'm sure I've experienced it, but just not thought about it in the same way as like, well, because when it's happening to me, it's me. I don't know if when people get angry, they're getting upset by the same things in the same way. I don't know. Not until they tell me. I haven't asked and they haven't offered, but sometimes anger is useful. Sometimes it's part of the process of like purging, and like I've been trying to get to the root of it, like why mine is so there. And there's definitely stuff that happened in my past, but boy, I've been working almost my whole life to like get past those things. And it's like ego. It's like you can't ever really get rid of it, so you might as well get something out of it. And that's also a new perspective on life that I have. Because, boy, you know, when things are upsetting, it's a lot. It just kind of takes the sting out of stuff when you're like, well, you know, there is a lesson to be learned here. There's something valuable to be had from this. And I think, bonus, you want that, right? If you're going to go through a bunch of crap, you might as well get something decent out of it, right? I don't know. That's just what I wanted to talk about. So I have some cards here. What am I doing on time? I have a few minutes. I mean, I really wasn't even like, ooh, I really want to pull some cards. I mean, that came out sounding weird, but I'm talking motivation, or even like, I really want to do it. Like, I don't really have that. So that's why there weren't some pulled, and I don't think I need to pull any now. I'm not feeling it. Just had them just in case. You never know. But, I feel like I kind of covered that, what I wanted to talk about, that. Oh, there is another reason why, though, too. And I guess I just wanted to offer some perspectives on like dealing with anger. And I just feel like in the US there have, like, the election has been quite a source of befuddlement and anger and butthurtedness, and I get all of that. And it just keeps seeming like, boy, it's going to be terrible. And there is a fear and an anger, I feel like, ramping up. But I feel like the anger is going to be more helpful. And I don't even think it's going to need help, because I also feel like all of this new administration is so rotten. It's so crooked. And there's so many, like, rotten fruits just hanging, about to burst, like the pumpkin I had to throw away because I didn't deal with it fast enough to get the seeds out of it. And that big boy just turned into a deceptively pumpkin looking blob. I went to pick it up to do the seeds. It was like, oh my gosh, my fingers are actually sinking into this guy. So it had to go. But it was deceptively healthy looking. I don't know if that was a good analogy, but here's the thing. I feel like, and I mean, I literally feel like there is a gathering swell, a wave behind me, huge, because I know there's stuff that would continue to have gotten done had the election gone a different way. And the people that are being elected, many of them would have been, swamped beneath that. Although, like I said, they are so terrible, I think the swamping is going to happen anyway. The swamp's going to get swamped. Well, at least we know now what's there. And that's interesting that I had the wave thing, because I don't know how familiar you are with ocean waves, but especially when there's a large one. If you happen to be standing on the sand, because they can happen at the sand or out further, there's still sand, but there's more water, so it's further beneath you. Like I said, I don't know if you know how oceans work. Anyway, when the wave is pulling back and it's gonna draw into a curl, the water will pull back and it'll pull away like what was up to your shin, the middle of your shin, like a second ago. Like, it'll pull the water away, but what happens is it sucks it up behind you or in front of you into this swell, and which flops over, and that's a wave. So when it's really big, like, you'll see like a whole lot more sand than water, and it's almost like what you'll see in a tsunami, because that is also a wave. Different action is happening with those, but the point is that those alarmingly suck back the water until, I'm talking about tsunami here, until you have this big field of sand where water gradually got deeper. And I don't know if you've seen footage of the tsunami in Indonesia of, I don't know, 20 years ago, but if you're unfamiliar with what those look like, it might be of interest for you to, search out a look at that, because it helps with my analogy. It helps you to understand. But I'm just feeling like there's a sound, the water sound, but I couldn't even begin to recreate like the sound of an ocean, the sound of the ocean making a wave. Like, I don't have the technology. That's something else you can look up too. But there is a feeling like something's behind you, because something is. And yeah, I just feel like in the wave, there's whatever lives in the water that's just in there, and they get randomly sucked around. Like, if you watch any surfing, sometimes you'll see like, oh my gosh, there's a shark like right behind the surfer in the wave, or a dolphin, or there's things that live in the water that are in there. So I feel like there's surprises, although I don't think they're going to be that much of a surprise. They're criminals, and they are just so bad, and I guess like just having so many of them together creates this big gnarly crime wave that's about to fall down. And I don't know how swamped, like, I'm talking about it like I'm physically standing in front of the thing, but I might be up on the sand out of the way of it where I could still see it. Like, I don't really think it's meant to fall over onto and like drown or swamp the general public. I think it's the people that have been doing really, really crappy stuff and calling it good and calling it, the right thing to do. And there's, just like the ocean, there's so much under the surface, out of sight, that we can't see, but you can kind of sense from the parts that are out, that you can see. The people, they say things that are kind of revealing. Well, you don't know of what, you just know that was funky. If you're paying attention, well, I don't know. I'm just saying, I feel like in pretty short order here, things are gonna get even more wild and messed up and weird. Yay, here we go. Just remember, the villains, they're actually your friends. Just remember the real underlying foundational dynamic here. Beneath all that stuff I talked about, this is something we're all doing, acting out, I guess you could say, for each other. And so, bravo to the villains. I know I'm perfectly horrified by many of the ones that we would call a villain. Good job. Thank you for your service. Thank you, and good night. You feel better?